Under the provisions of the public meeting law of the state of Missouri, the board must adopt by roll call vote an agenda that includes the time, date, place, and tentative agenda for the meeting. A copy of the notice and agenda for this meeting was posted on Monday, September 9th, 2019 at the Administration Center, 8855 Dunn Road, Hazelwood, Missouri. At the same time, copies of the notice and agenda were sent to the major radio and television stations, to 3 newspapers, to all municipalities, schools in the district, and posted on the district website. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Are we awake? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Would you call the roll, please?
Dr. Gray. Aye. Ms. Ponder.
Aye.
Dr. Carl Walker. Aye. Mr. Chabot. Aye. Secretary votes aye. Madam President.
Aye. I would like to begin the meeting by apologizing for the concerns during the public comment session at the last meeting. I apologize for offending anyone at the August board meeting concerning equal airtime when speaking during the public comment section of the agenda. In order to avoid such issues in the future and ensure that every person gets an equal opportunity to comment on items of school business, I have reviewed our board policies and public comment with our legal counsel, and the board and superintendent have been reminded of the requirements. I will make every effort going forward to uniformly carry out the policy in that regard. Please note, in order to provide an opportunity for all members of the public to provide statements to the board, you should sign in on the cards provided. Cards must be submitted prior to the start of the public comment period. If you have comments or concerns and don't want to speak before the public, please also fill out a card and we will address your comments and concerns separately. Everyone who signs up to speak will get 3 minutes. Jessica Ponder, the board vice president, or Dr. Donna Thurman, the board secretary, will begin the clock after the speaker states their name, address, and subject. This will give you a little more time. We do ask that you refrain from making comments that involve personally identifiable personal issues, and that your comment be respectful and not contain disparaging remarks. The public comment period is a time for you to bring any matters of interest or concern to the board. Members of the board and the superintendent will not respond to the speaker during public comment, answer questions, or engage in an active discussion. The superintendent will assign a member of the cabinet who will speak with you after the meeting. In addition, certain questions may necessarily be answered by statements made in discussion during the course of the board meeting. Please remember that you are always welcome to provide written comments to the board if you cannot completely address your concerns in the 3 minutes allocated. You may do so by addressing a letter or email to myself, any board member, or the superintendent. Thank you, and I again apologize for any confusion I caused or embarrassment to my fellow board members, the district, or the community. I know ending the comment at 3 minutes may seem harsh, especially if someone is in mid-sentence, but it is important that we implement our policies in a fair and uniform manner. I work hard to moderate a formal and orderly meeting that follows policies and is responsible to the needs of the board, the district, and the community. Thank you. FSD shared images of success. Each month, the communications team presents a short video of the district highlights. And at this time, would we please show the highlights?
engaged in team-building activities at the Little Creek Nature Area. Students had an opportunity early in the school year to develop relationships with other students and staff. Through this experience, students worked as a team while participating in various structured activities that required them to persevere through certain experiences. Freshman computer science students at the STEAM Academy at McClure South Berkeley High School created and programmed an app using block coding. The app is a game where the user has to keep the emoji in the middle of the screen by tilting the tablet or their mobile device. This is the student's second app that they've built so far, and their teacher, Amanda McDonald, has much more planned along the way, including diving into other programming languages and programming robots. This summer, Boeing partnered with the Ferguson Florissant School District and the United Way to offer a STEAM-focused education event for children ages 5 to 18. Indoor and outdoor activities included science experiments, basics of aerospace, applications of mathematics, art projects, and interactive activities. The event was held at the STEAM Academy at McClure South Berkeley High School. There were over 350 students from the local North County area, making this the biggest attendance to date. The Boeing STEAM Camp was made possible by the many generous sponsors who partner with the Ferguson Florissant School District and who are committed to getting students ready for an ever-changing global world.
This portion of the meeting is allocated to show a short video from the Missouri School Board Association to provide a report of current activities and events that may be interesting to board members and the community.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report for the month of September. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the report issued by the Governor's School Safety Task Force. That task force was established in March and held a series of public outreach sessions around the state during the past few months. It received additional input from surveys, website comments, and a student input session. It also relied on resources available through MSBA's Center for Education Safety. The group issued its final report on July 31st. The task force concluded that schools are overwhelmingly safe places for children to learn and grow, but also identified some areas where safety can be improved for students and school staff. MSBA Executive Director Melissa Randall was a member of the task force, and she says communication is a strong theme in the report.
We are looking at ways that we can improve communication between agencies, whether it's state to local or within our communities, how we can do a better job of communicating information that would ensure our children's safety. And so we have some recommendations in the report about best practices on how to get information distributed and who needs to be who needs to be receiving that information and how you process it.
Randall says one thing the report does not recommend is arming teachers.
What it does say is that if communities want access to school resource officers or school protection officers, we need to do a better job in giving them access to that. That needs to be a school and community decision, but we do think it's a best practice to have access to a trained, highly skilled school resource officer, or a school protection officer. Our preference would be school resource officer, but obviously some communities don't have the resources to provide that. So a highly trained school protection officer would be an alternative to that, but we do not think it is best practice to go beyond school resource officer and school protection officer in terms of armed individuals in our buildings.
The report says there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to making schools as safe as possible, but says the best solutions to address school safety are at the local, community, and individual school level. The full task force report is posted on the MSBA website. Speaking of school safety, there's a new 24-hour, 7-day-a-week school safety tip line available to report potential school safety threats. It's called Courage to Report and is operated by the Missouri Information Analysis Center within the State Highway Patrol. The goal is to help school officials and law enforcement learn about potential school threats as soon as possible so they can determine how to appropriately handle the report. The toll-free number for Courage to Report is 866-748-7047. A number of new state laws became effective at the end of August, as is usually the case after a legislative session adjourns in May, and this year was no exception. That means MSBA's policy department has been busy analyzing those laws to determine if school district policy changes are needed. MSBA Associate Executive Director Kelly Hopkins oversees MSBA's policy department, and she says it's critical that school district policies keep current with state law, government regulations, and court decisions. But at the same time, she says, school boards have flexibility on many policy issues and often can determine what policies best meet the needs of their schools and community.
Districts have local control over their policies, and so it needs to reflect what the district is actually doing or what they believe is correct. For whatever reason, it's their policy. We want to keep them from doing anything that isn't consistent with law. And so we will push back against changes that are made that are not consistent with law. But unless they're not consistent with law, if the district wants language, we put it in there, and then we maintain it so it doesn't go away the next time a policy update is published.
Hopkins says it's important in some cases that school district policies include references to state law.
Occasionally, a district will say, your policies are so detailed. And sometimes I would agree with that. But if we didn't include that detail, it might mean that the district is spending a lot of time on the phone with an attorney and trying to understand the law that we were explaining in the policy. Now, if it's our attorney, that's fine, because that's not going to cost them anything. But if it's their district attorney, that could get expensive. So sometimes we do go a little bit over in the explanation of how to implement a particular law.
All MSBA member districts receive regular policy updates as part of membership. Some 240 school districts participate in MSBA's full maintenance policy service that allows MSBA to update and customize policies for school districts. MSBA's policy department is working on some updates and revisions to the service that will be announced in the coming months. The 2019 MSBA Annual Conference will be held at the end of this month at the Lake of the Ozarks. Once again this year, we have some outstanding general session speakers, along with some 130 concurrent sessions on a wide range of topics designed to help board members and administrators improve their leadership skills. We hope to see you there. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
We're saying their name, like what the topic is, and then I'm start.
Okay. Could I ask everybody to rise, please? Today is 9/11, which, thanks to Dr. Thurman, she reminded me. So I'd just like to have a moment of silence for the families of 9/11. Thank you. The board allocates this portion of the meeting to allow stakeholders the opportunity to comment on both agenda items and non-agenda items at the start of each board meeting. Prior to the public comment period, participants are asked to fill out a comment card with their name, address, phone number, email address, and topic to be addressed, and will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. Members of the audience who wish to speak to the board are requested to speak from the podium, identify themselves, and in keeping with district policies 4054, 4059, and personnel law, should refrain from making negative comments that are personally identifiable. While the board will not directly respond to speakers during the public comment period, the board president may clarify remarks at the end of the comment session to correct any misstatement of facts. So at this time, I would like to ask Kevin Nance to please come forward.
Hello, my name is Heaven Nance, and I go to the McClure North building. This year, we were told that we had to wear the clear book bags that the district has provided for us, but my book bag and some other people's book bags have broken already. But I am under the impression that if this year goes successful with the clear book bags, that we will only be able to buy the book bags from the district and not be able to get it from anywhere else. My next question is that as a person in the North building, the air conditioning in there is quite terrible. It's very hot in there, and that is a 4 to 3 level building, and people are sweating and stinking up the hallways. Now, I know some people can't help that, but it's quite hot in there, and the deodorant is sweating off. Another question that I have is the thing about the purses. Now, I know that this goes hand in hand with the clear book bag situation, but the only person or people that the purses no rule thing is the female students at your district. Nobody wants to carry their stuff around when they are having a personal issue in that clear book bag. It's just not something that you really want to do or you want everyone to deal with. It's hard enough. But I didn't really understand why they were taking it away in the first place, because that didn't add up. I'll just say that. But also, that's all I really had to say. The air conditioning, the clear book bags. Oh, and the thing about the Chromebooks at the STEAM school, they were giving a black little bag for their Chromebook to be carried in. But if the district was required to wear a clear book bag, and it was heard that they were going to be getting a clear little thing, wouldn't that somehow violate the safety of your students, considering that the fact that that Chromebook costs a lot of money, and if it gets damaged, it's not going to go back on the person who violated them for the Chromebook. It's going to be on them and their parents. That is all I have to say. I'm Heaven Nance. Goodbye.
Thank you, Heaven. And Vershawn House will talk to you about the book bags after the meeting, and Terry O'Neill will speak with you about the air conditioning. So thank you. Shannon Haslett. Haslett.
Good evening. I know that we're almost a month in school, and a lot of things we're trying to all process and get things together and in order. I was just wanted to talk about, I'm not feeling very well, so, it's getting a little hard for me to get out tonight, about the equity across the schools, especially when you're transitioned from one building that may have had certain amenities into another one. We were at a meeting at Robinwood School last night in the gym, and we thought it was just the air conditioner was just broken, but found out that they had none. So we were trying to figure out, as far as when we start looking at things or start noticing the differences between buildings, how is in the future, how are we going to do to make the playing field a little bit level for all the students across the district here. And that's all I had to address.
Thank you very much. And Mr. O'Neill will also speak with you after the meeting. Thank you. Pamela Powell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I wanted to address restructuring. I know it's a hard process, but what I wanted to take the time to actually thank the teachers, thank the principals, thanks Dr. Davis, and as far as the board goes, I know that you all are really like just the guiding force behind it, but the real champions, the real people who are doing the work are the teachers. So I wanted to thank them. There are also some people here who are doing an amazing job, and I think they deserve a little bit of credit, which is Terry O'Neill, Kevin in communications, Laura who does your budget. Those are the people that I've recently met, and I think that they are doing a wonderful job and think that they deserve some credit for that. But more importantly, the teachers, but they are doing an awesome job. I see Larry back there. He also does an awesome job as well. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Judy Ferguson Shaw.
Good evening. So I am here tonight to talk about something that's very, very important to me. And having Dr. Powell Walker look at me, I want to ask you, how are the children? So diversity is very, very important to me. And the board has mentioned with your equity committee that diversity is important to you also. And I've spoken to several important people about this issue, and that is that guidance counselors are like the soul and the heart of the school. And children feel good when they're able to interact or see someone who look like them. And I'm very, very concerned about McClure North High School that has an entire guidance department that does not look like the majority of the children who attend school there. I think diversity is important in all departments, but particularly in the guidance department. We're talking about getting kids off to college. And so when you have someone in the guidance department that looks like me, a guidance counselor who knows about HBCUs and various scholarships that are geared directly to children who look like me. I think that it's important that this school board look at the diversity at McClure North High School. I'm not saying fire anybody. I'm saying that this district has enough guidance counselors in the district where you can move some around to make certain that our children at McClure North High School has someone who looks like them in the department who can also help them move forward. I'm not trying to put whoever is there now down. I'm just trying to lift up that school for our children. And at this point, I'm talking about African American children. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Judy and Amy Cacciatore will meet with you and talk to you. You're welcome. At this time, Pam Breedenkamp.
Good evening. I'm Pam Breedenkamp, and as a stakeholder, many know I am an advocate for all students in the Ferguson-Florissant School District. But today I'm here specifically for the student athletes. A student athlete is much more than a student that participates in sports. They are ambassadors of the team and school they proudly represent, and the district as a whole. During a recent meeting, with district members, we talked about how we collaboratively, as a district and stakeholders, have to start polishing the proverbial tarnish off the Ferguson-Florissant School District. Oh my God, my heart is pounding out my chest. Sorry. Today I'm here specifically for the student athletes of McClure North, and I need your help. Since the beginning of the school year, I know on several occasions buses to take these athletes to their scheduled meetings, games, or competitions may not have been ordered or paperwork lost or what have you. Showing up tardy to a competition does not help our already tarnished reputation. The case in point, this last Saturday, the cross-country team had an invitational meet with 35+ schools in Granite City. Parents dropped off their athletes at 7:10 a.m. as directed by the coaches. By 7:30 a.m., a bus had not arrived and the coaches were scrambling to get transportation. The varsity girls and a coach had to go in a private vehicle as their race went off at 8:30 in the morning. Through the graciousness of a parent, they arrived with only 10 minutes to spare to get checked in and to warm up. And unfortunately, the varsity boys did not make it on time and had to withdraw from their race. But they were allowed to participate later in the JV racers. I understand the McClure North has a new athletic director, as introduced in last month's school board meeting, and some leeway would be expected. So how can you help? Please reach out to the transportation department and the athletic director to see if they need additional training or help in understanding all the nuances, logistics, and tangible needs of all the sports teams. To many athletes, their sport is their life. And the main reason they continue in school and succeed academically is so that they can pursue their sport in college and perhaps beyond. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kevin Perrong. And Ms. Breedenkamp, Kevin Perrong will be meeting with you and speaking with you. Or Laura Madrusic. Thank you. Patricia Ball.
Hello, my name is Patricia, and these are my associates. We are looking to secure a building in the North County area, specifically the airport school, elementary school, and we're looking to start our after-school lunchbox program for children. It could be a safe haven place for them, also provide meals and transportation to them and help them with their homework.
Make sure they eat. You know, a lot of kids don't eat when they get home after school. That's it. Lunch is over. So for them to come have something to eat, especially in the Berkeley area.
And also, we will be also providing activities for those children as well, to give them something to do.
Instead of just walking around the neighborhood. So. And we tried. Want to say something?
And also, I work at a daycare, so I'm getting my CDA, so like I can basically help the children with their homework because I'm gonna be a licensed teacher. So I'm gonna be knowing what I'm doing a lot, and I love working with kids, so and I graduated from McClure North. That's a good school. I don't know what happened when I left, but I love this school.
And actually, we're all graduates of
From
McClure
McClure
North. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it is nonprofit too.
Dr. Joycelyn Pugh Walker will be speaking with you all. Thank you so much. That's it. That is all for tonight. Thank you all for your comments, and thank you for letting it go so smoothly. This portion of the meeting is allocated for the board to provide an update of current activities and events in the district that may be of special interest to board members and the community. At this time, I'd like to start with Scott Ebert.
Believe it or not, I don't have much. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming. I think maybe that 6 o'clock start time has helped us out, and it's great hearing from everybody. So keep all the comments coming because we do listen. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My portion of the strategic plan, is stakeholder and community engagement. Our last equity committee meeting, which was held on August 27th, was our biggest turnout. I would like to ask all current equity committee members to stand up. I just want to publicly say thank you to all of you. Through your help and dedication, we're working to create an equitable opportunity and access for all of our students. I am happy to say that the members of this committee has even requested to meet twice a month because this work is so important. I will be checking in this week with members to change the meeting possibly to the second and the fourth Monday of the month. We had a great meeting with our faith community partners last week. We're working hard to build community and work together to create better opportunities for our students. Our Department of Family and Community Engagement is actively recruiting mentors for our My Brother's Keeper initiative. We know that everyone can benefit from a mentor, and I'd like to encourage you to consider serving as a mentor. If you're interested, please be sure to get in touch with Albert Harold. Albert, can you wave for people, please? All righty, thank you. Our communications team is actively working with our schools to have good communications with our families. So if you don't have the district app on your mobile device, I'd like to encourage you to get this free app so you can be notified of upcoming events and opportunities to connect with your child's school. We're working to add events to the calendar as well as other important information. And you can see Kevin. Is Kevin here? He's actually in the back. So you can see Kevin if you need help with finding that app on your phone. If you have any feedback, information, or concerns you would like to share with the district, please use our feedback button on our website, on our app, and we will address those items as quickly as possible. Once again, we thank you guys for coming out tonight and being a part of our family. Thank you.
Dr. Thurman?
Good evening, everyone. I have the decorum section for our strategic plan, and I want to thank Mr. Gary Beals for providing the data that I have to share with you tonight. During the first 2 weeks of school, the Ferguson Florissant staff has been engaged. They have been engaged in a video study of how to write a referral as part of the due process procedures for students. Several major topics of importance were the focus of this video study. Namely, all staff have the legal right and responsibility to write a referral in order to maintain an environment that is conducive to learning and to safety. The language contained in the referral should always be professional, objective, and specific to the incident or person the referral is written on. All referrals should be written in a timely manner. Only the originator of the referral should edit or alter the written referral. Administrators should address, this is very important, referrals within 24 hours. like to make that a little less time, but anyway. Date on discipline. This is the date on the discipline so far for 2019-20 school year. Total referrals so far this year, 1,149. Skipping class, 235 of, let's see, 235 of all referrals. That's about 20% of the 1,149 number that I just read to you. Student conferences are up a little bit by 19% from this time last year. Out of school suspensions, 341. In-school suspensions, 182. Again, the administration and staff remains committed to changing the culture across the district through our district plan of decorum. And again, I just want to reiterate, and I'm sure that Dr. Davis and the rest of the board feel the same way, that it's important for us to get these numbers down. I know there's quite a bit of shakeup in the district in terms of the restructuring, but again, these numbers are a bit high for me in terms of us starting the school year out. I'm really happy that they're working on writing referrals that are referrals that are legitimate. I don't want to say legitimate, that are good referrals. Okay, quality referrals. That's the word I'm trying to find. So anyway, we want to continue to work on decorum in our district. I also would like to say I had a meeting with Grade A for Change members, and I want to say to the entire everyone here tonight that we had quite a few questions that were raised. And I do want to say thank you to Dr. Davis and his team for going through each one of the questions and giving the answers. Next board meeting, is it next board meeting? We will have them out for you to read yourself, because the board just got them and we want to make sure that we read through them and edit if we have to. I'm sure that you've noticed that one of the things that we did tonight was when someone came up to the podium and they had a question, they were given a person by name as the person that will be getting back to them. And so the board agreed to do that. And I want to say thank you to our president for making sure that that's done tonight. So that is my report for tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Chabot.
Good evening, everyone. My part of the strategic plan is the facilities and processes. Right now, facilities is going through the move to vote for Student Service Center. Early ed, parents as teachers, therapists, social workers, office staff, and enrollment have already been moved. Student services and admissions are going to be moved later on this month. Administration's also in the process of moving facilities into the warehouse here, into the STEAM campus area. Most of the other items are in the consent agenda, so I won't bore you and read them, but make sure you take a look at them. We're buying ovens, stuff like that, killing bugs. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sheila Powell-Walker.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk a little soft tonight because I have an allergy that has worked its way over into something else. My portion of the strategic plan is accreditation and achievement. The CI3 Maker Team Subcommittee facilitated training focused on the behavior of CI3T aimed at discouraging unwanted behavior in the classroom setting. The district has decreased referrals by 348 from last year's data for the month of August. District staff attended the NAF STL Advisory Board meeting to discuss partnerships for district academies scheduled to launch in Ferguson-Florissant School District in fall of 2020. During the months of August and September, we are doing our initial benchmark assessments for 2nd through 12th grade in math, science, ELA, and government using the new Galileo Imagine Learning Assessment System. Instructional coaches and curriculum specialists are currently doing the Dyslexia Blitz to screen students in 1st through 3rd grade per state mandate. While we do not diagnose dyslexia, we do screen students and provide intervention for those whose screening indicates they may benefit from additional supports. And September 20th marks our first ILT Professional Development Day for the year. We will focus on NEE Indicator 3.1, implementation of core curriculum, and the leadership moves and supports to ensure all students receive rigorous, standards-aligned Tier 1 instruction. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ponder?
Good evening. I have the talent management update. First thing, there's a staffing update. Principals continue to work very hard at filling all positions. We are currently down to 15 open positions from the 24 that we had at the beginning of July. Also, an update on our Grow Your Own partnership. The district's previous efforts to partner with UMSL to create a Grow Your Own program that identifies and supports high school students interested in becoming teachers is back on track. The new proposed structure will be linked to the current career pathways framework. Additionally, students will be mentored throughout their undergraduate experience and will be able to work as aides and tutors in the district while they are completing their pre-service teacher requirements. All district students that complete their education degree with UMSL will be guaranteed an interview prior to till their graduation. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, in the month of August up to this time in September, the board has been very active and very busy with work study sessions, and we have 3 more work study sessions planned. We added one tonight, so we just keep studying away and trying to make our district better. We do need to change our policy, and I apologize, I don't remember the name. I think it's 4051, and is that right? And it is on the board meetings and the board where they meet and times, because in the policy, it's still stating that we're at Waterford. So we need to do all of that. So I would like to ask Jessica, as the vice president, to be the chairman of the committee, and I would like 2 volunteers from the board to be on the committee with her. And of course, Dr. LaRue, I am expecting you to be on as part of that, right? So do I have, Donna volunteers, do I have another volunteer? Rob?
Well, what's the parameters? I mean, what's the end goal?
The end goal is to just make the policy like it's.
I mean, we're not going
the
through
way
the
it
entire
is.
manual and reviewing.
No, just
all-
the policy on the board meetings. Like I said, I think it's 4051.
Okay.
So Rob's going to do it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. So we have our volunteers, and I thank you very much. Costello, I'm sorry. I'm German, Irish, whatever, sorry. Okay, all right, we Irish have to stick together. And Mike Ertl, you're speaking with their co-chair of FFNEA representatives?
Excuse me for using my phone. I forgot to print this afternoon. Good evening, board, Dr. Davis, and stakeholders in the audience. My name is Krista Castellano. I am currently a 5th grade teacher at Lee Hamilton, and I'm also the current secretary for the Ferguson Florissant National Education Association. Dr. Davis, I would like to thank you for your time at our recent meeting this past Monday. Your candor in reciprocating the presented concerns about student and staff safety were greatly appreciated. As evident by the spontaneous applause at the end of such the meeting, and the representatives about the messages presented around teachers being able to teach and students able to learn in a safe environment, were indicative of how well this information was received by all of the staff present and the members present. We wish to welcome you to future meetings to further this conversation. Thank you.
Hello. Also, good evening, board, Dr. Davis. Yes. My name is Mike Ertl. I'm a teacher at McClure North High School. There is a concern from staff about another topic that was raised. Several buildings are extending the staff day by requiring to attend 2 staff meetings per month, along with multiple committee meetings. This, coupled with multiple losses of plan time weekly for administrator-driven meetings, is creating a sense of not having enough time to plan and prepare for successful student learning and other district requirements. We look forward to partnering with the board and administration to provide equity amongst buildings so that both the work of the classroom and the building can be done successfully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it was nice to hear that our superintendent is out busy speaking with the teachers. I know he's busy in the schools, so that was very nice. Thank you for the compliments. And at this time, Dr. Davis.
Absolutely. So let's give all of our teachers a hand, because all of them deserve a round of applause. You know, and that's even when I had a conversation with many of our teachers the other day, and in schools. I was in schools today. In fact, I went by Ms. Castellano's class today when she was teaching away over Lee Hamilton. You know, so I'm passionate about the work, like many of you all are. And, you know, being a father of a student in our district, that's important to me, that we have quality, period. And I think that's the gap sometimes, and what we're after compared to other places. And we've got to make sure that we have quality learning, because that's our end goal, is high quality learning outcomes. But sometimes the barrier becomes decorum, and what gets in the way of that. And what I said to teachers, and I want to say here, and, you know, sometimes you get criticized by some things and commendations on others. What I'm after is that teachers feel safe, students feel safe, adults in buildings feel safe. And we are, you know, want to make sure that we create that kind of space where that can happen. We also, it has to be an and, not or. And we have to make sure that we are providing supports so that students who have the biggest challenges get the need, the 5%, and those who you know, have other challenges or need support, we give them that as well. I will say that discipline has been a conversation that we have been having quite a bit in this district over the last couple of weeks since school began on August 15. In fact, we've developed what I call the DDC, the District Discipline Committee. We meet at least on Wednesdays once a week, but we'll be meeting more. Gary and I lead that. We'll probably meet more often to have, you know, specific conversations about issues going on in schools to support principals and teachers so that we can create that space. And it's hard, it's not popular, but it's necessary, because we want a safe space for everybody to feel comfortable learning and growing in. So we'll keep that conversation open. I want to also make sure I acknowledge that the tax rate hearing is coming up this month. It will be held on Tuesday, September 24th. Tuesday, September 24th is the tax rate hearing. So please put that date on your calendars so that you can have access to that as well. Here's what I would ask that, you know, all of us do, but especially if you're a parent, is that I would ask that you go use our website and our tools. I had an opportunity to meet with quite a few parents, and if Ms. Breeden don't mind me calling her out, I had an opportunity to talk with her too. And she raised every parent I've met with has good points. And, you know, that calendar is king is what one of the things I took away from our conversation. And also the resources that we have on our website, and making sure that those resources are available to parents and that you know how to access them. Here's what I would ask that parents that you access and you push others to access is curriculum, and making sure that you're clear about what students ought to be learning in every grade level and in every subject area. We often have the conversation about what's going on in the classroom. While decorum is important, the heart of our work is making sure children are educated well. And so if you have not accessed, I'll always use math because I'm a math teacher, you know, the math curriculum, please do that. Look at the pacing guide, look at the Missouri Learning Standards, and you be super clear about what your student, whether it be your child or whether it be your niece or nephew or cousin, that you're clear so that we can help students and parents be clear about what they ought to be learning this year in the grades that they're in. That's really, really important to us, because if we're going to really get to deep learning and quality learning, students have to be clear about that, and parents, so they take ownership. And we want to help you in that process. The other thing I want to say at this time, and I'm going to ask Terry and Laura to start making their way to the podium, is Dr. Graves raised at a previous meeting concerns that I've had conversations with parents about relative to some of what Ms. Heaven mentioned a minute ago, young ladies, and making sure that we take care of our young ladies at school. And so we've taken a look at, you had mentioned having a dispenser in bathrooms, and Terry has gone through the schools. I mean, we've had conversations about looking at, maybe some kind of crossbody to help support some of that work. I mean, we've done a lot of work in thinking about what those options are, and I'm stuttering a little bit here, not because I don't know what to say. I just feel uncomfortable sometimes because I don't want to say anything wrong when it comes to. I don't want to say anything wrong when it comes to. And absolutely, I was raised certainly by women. I don't ever want to offend. So I'm always careful about that part. So Laura and Terry are gonna take it away at this time.
You are so red.
Good evening. So a couple of things that we started out with. Our very first thought when we did the clear bags was to have the opaque blue bag. And that was specifically for this issue, for the feminine hygiene products. However, there's been some question about those and how they can use them in different settings and different issues. And so we looked at some other issues. I'm going to hand out a little handout so we looked into dispensers, looked to see where we've already had dispensers, how they've worked in the past, what we've done in the past, what we're currently doing in those areas. And then also talked about some other options for bags, which Laura knows more about than I do, but I'll pass these out and then I'll talk about it once everybody has this in their hand. So apparently for several years, there were dispensers in our secondary schools. However, they have not been used in several years, at least in the time at least minimum that I've been here, which is 7 years. And so probably 8 to 9 years, they haven't been used. And you can see in the chart, the number of women's restrooms in our secondary schools, there's 107. The next row is the number of dispensers that are currently in there, which are 37. And it kind of breaks it down by the product that's dispensed in those. And then it tells you they're functional, which none of them are and have not been for many years. What we have been doing over these past several years is providing only the napkin product or pad. This is hard for me too, but luckily I have I have 4 sisters and no brothers, so I'm okay. But those products are what we give to the nurses. Those are provided to the nurses through our department, and they're stocked with nurses. So at this point, if someone would need a product, they could go to the nurse's office. Most of our nurses, not all, but most of our nurse offices also have a restroom, so they could be used there. And so it's worked fairly well to this point. But as you can see, that if we would decide to update our dispensers and replace them, I put a cost next to each school that would be involved, and the total amount would be $37,450 to purchase those. They're about $350 each. And so, purchasing the one for each bathroom would be $37,450 each of the ladies' restrooms. Then you'll see the cost for the 2 different products. And that would be an annual cost for that. That would be restocking them. That's based on the number the dispenser could hold and restocking them every month. So you can see the total for the first year, if we would do that, would be $45,154. And then the annual cost would be just under $8,000 a year to stock those on a regular basis every month. If you look at the bottom, I just gave some of those details. We currently give them to nurse office. We spend about $260 a year on those products. They haven't been used in years. We have approximately 2,800 female students in the secondary schools at this time. And then it gives a breakdown of how many of each product the dispensers would hold. And we have to assume that the use would increase if we were providing them for free in the restrooms. So those numbers are based on that increase of use.
Another option that we did discuss was perhaps having like for the girls, having a crossbody bag, the size of like a small clutch, like one of those clutches, but maybe something that the girls could wear as a crossbody, so that would be another option. Or instead of buying them, allowing them to just wear one of those, and that it would just have to be a certain size. That was just an option that we talked about. Okay, that was just something that that was one of our options.
Oh my God.
And let me say that, one of the reasons I wanted this to be a discussion because, sometimes I or we get criticized about making decisions beforehand, and I don't, Lord knows, want to make a decision without having your input here and giving me some direction on what to do. But I think it's important to at least have the conversation about the options we've been thinking about, based on conversations I've had with various people, and that we've had in our meetings ourselves. And the fact that you brought that up last week or last month rather, and we wanted to, at least have the conversation in here and think about what's the best option. And so, I deal with, individual situations, and I'll deal with those personally with the people I'm dealing with, and that'll always be confidential. But I also want to make sure that we're having a public conversation so that the community knows that when we hear issues, we want to deal with those issues. I'll go wherever you want me to meet, well, almost anywhere. But we want to hear our publics to make sure that we're engaging.
Can I say something about that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I really appreciate, thank you so much for bringing the report back and having this information for us. And I think that, for me, I think we should go forward with it because there's probably quite a few girls who can't afford some of these products. So it's good to have that there. However, the purse thing, that just says, hey, y'all, guess what? So, my suggestion is a different suggestion, and that's maybe possibly looking at girls being able to carry a small purse.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
That's what I thought she was talking about. Would
No,
they
no,
be
no, she
allowed
was
to
talking
use it
about-
all year
Yeah,
or all the
could use
time?
it all
It
the
wasn't
time.
just
Yes.
during the time.
Right. They could use it.
They
all
could
the
use
time.
it all.
But
all
it's
the
the
time.
same purse.
Right, I get it.
No.
I get it.
But didn't she also say that they could have another option was just letting them have a crossbody purse?
No,
she didn't
purse.
say that.
I
Yeah.
didn't say,
missed
I
that.
did say a crossbody,
Yeah.
but we,
But you
we
meant
did
the-
we also did talk about a wristlet also. So like having a wristlet, like those little,
But you're talking about a general one for,
just the
that you
small,
all would provide.
Or they could
or they
provide
could
their own.
bring their own.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
So
All
there were,
right.
And she
we
said
talked
that
about,
with
we did,
dimensions.
yeah,
Sorry.
we did talk about that in just a meeting, like, sorry, my time off. Anyway, okay. We did talk because I said I carry a wristlet everywhere. Whenever I go somewhere, I just have a wristlet with me all the time because it's got enough to carry my keys and whatnot. And so we talked about that. We talked about like if they would have to carry it, maybe it would be better to have a crossbody. So we had just a lot of discussion about it. Probably poor Dr. Davis was red the whole time we were talking about it. So anyway.
Can I? Thank you for researching it. One thing I wanted to say is what we could do is we always need to take it back to the students. And we talk about we just spent money on the thought exchange last board meeting. That can be our first thought exchange where we reach out to the women the females in our district and ask them which one would they prefer, if it is a small clutch or if it's a being able to provide that for them. I mean, my thing is also we still need to look at the needs of some of our families and our students. Some of our families may not be even able to afford those. So maybe not so many dispensers if we go to the having them being able to have a clutch. But I think also it's important to be able to give them access and resources. So, but I think that we should try to use the thought exchange and let's see what happens.
That's a great idea.
And that's a great idea because the thought exchange, you don't have to be here. We could put it online and then give our students access to that. So that's a great idea.
Yes.
Kevin can.
And we need to not forget that we are providing product today through the nurse's
To the
office
nurses.
and have
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
So that's always
So
available.
that's some
as
immediate
well.
support as well as thinking about what a long-term solution could be.
I wanted to ask, when you use the thought exchange, what are the two options? Because I heard like a lot of different things. I wondered like what is it that we're going to ask students about? Do they want to carry their own purse? And then like what is the other?
So you don't necessarily have to put an option. What you can do is just ask a question and then let them provide what options they think are important that way. And what happens with thought exchange, if you remember the presentation, so if you say, well, I'll just use something different. Like, what kind of car do you like? And somebody may say Ford or Honda or Toyota. And then what happens is when you vote, when you put your car in, everybody who's put in an entry gets to also vote on the other entries other people have put in. And whatever entries get the most votes, it rises to the top. And so then you have the data right in front of you to say, okay, we have 12 different entries, but 3 of them have the most votes. They're the most popular among the folks who did the survey. And so that rises to the top. That way you don't pigeonhole anybody into saying 1 or 2 things. They actually drive the options themselves.
And they might come up with, we're not experts in this
Yeah.
area, right? So they might come up with something that we hadn't thought about too.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Is that all?
All right, that's my report. Yes, ma'am.
The administration presents the following items for approval under the consent agenda. Could I please have the secretary read the disbursements?
Yes. Payroll, and that's teacher and non-teacher, $11,098,763.58. Operational disbursements, $2,491,766.60. And total, $13,590,530.18.
Thank you. Could I have a motion? Could I have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Before and after school programs. Dr. Joycelyn Pugh Walker, would you please come forward?
Good evening, board, Dr. Davis, community, and colleagues. I am really excited to be here this evening to share with you. My time's up? Okay, thank you. Right, exactly. I want to introduce you to our partners. We have 3 partners within the district that provide services in our elementary schools. And this evening, they are here tonight to share a little overview of where we are at this point as it relates to enrollment, and maybe just a little short, brief summary of where we're going. So at this time, if I could have our YMCA partners. We have with us Courtney Stevenson, who is our program director. Come on down. And also Jeannie Alberts is with us, who is the executive director for the YMCA for Emerson. So please come on up.
Okay, I'm the shortest, so. Hi all, nice meeting everybody and thank you for having us. My name's Jenny Alberts. I am the executive director over at the Emerson Family YMCA. I am still pretty new to that branch. I started April 1st and very new to St. Louis and North County. So, so far loving the experience. And I just want to tell you all, thank you so much. It's an amazing opportunity that we get to serve these schools and to work alongside amazing folks like Dr. Walker and the teachers and the principals at the schools that you see in front of you. So Bermuda Central, Commons Lane, Duchesne, Holman, Parker Road, and Walnut Grove. Everyone's been amazing to work with. The staff are very accommodating. We're off to a really good start. And so I'm going to just let my Y Club director, he oversees all of those sites and the staff at those sites. I'm going to let him kind of talk about where we're at and where we're hoping we're going.
Good evening. Just to piggy off Jenny, I am in month 6 for myself, so we're both fairly new to Emerson Y, but we are here to partnership with you guys. We are here to make sure that all our kids are getting before and after care done completely and correctly with state certified staff members and also trained members as well. The numbers you have in front of you are numbers that was submitted 2 weeks ago. And right now that's about 109 students among 7 school buildings. But as of today, we have 125. So the numbers did increase within the last 2 weeks of operation of schools. About it.
Just a last parting statement is that, we're very accessible, both of us. And if there are comments, questions, concerns, things that we could be doing more of or differently, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our goal is to be inclusive, to welcome all kids. And then in addition to that, to also provide supports. As you may know, we are a non-for-profit. And so we don't want finances being a barrier to access to quality care. So please let us know if there's any concerns or anything that we could be doing more of. Thank you.
Our next group is Boys and Girls Club of Greater St. Louis. Roxanne Crawford is the site coordinator. I don't know that I saw Roxanne. I do. There we go. Come on down.
Good evening. My name is Roxanne Crawford. I'm a senior area director with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater St. Louis. I provide oversight at multiple sites in North County, spanning 3 school districts, one of which is Ferguson Florissant School District. I partner with Hazelwood and Riverview Gardens School District. So each year, we struggle with summer camp because we have to shift gears and we provide care at other sites. But we pick Ferguson Florissant School District kids up using our own transportation, and we take them to Hazelwood. And a number of parents have exercised that privilege. So when we come back, we really do struggle. We struggle with getting our numbers up. We are licensed to serve 125 kids at Lee Hamilton Elementary School. We lost a number of kids with the restructuring, which we anticipated because now we serve 3rd through 5th graders. So when looking at our numbers, they're dismal, but we're optimistic. We've been working hand in hand with school staff, principals, receiving authorization, approval to move forward with some grassroots efforts. We are now providing before care at Halls Ferry, where we're now picking up 8 kids for aftercare. We use our own transportation. As a result of a survey that was conducted last, school year, we moved into action. We were asked to provide early care at Lee Hamilton, which is new for us in North County, but not new to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater St. Louis. We charge $60 a month. We're presently providing care for 11 kids before school. Parents are very grateful and we're happy to have them. We receive them as early as 7 and then we release them at 8:30 for the academic day. So I'm a bit challenged with the numbers right now. We are a CCAP, Child Care Assistance Program. We're licensed. So a number of our families aren't getting the care because we can only serve Halls Ferry and Lee Hamilton. And we're okay. We've been working closely with Dr. Warren and Dr. I at the school. So it is my hope that our numbers will continue to increase. We're averaging 2 kids a week. This site easily had 100 active kids last school year. So when we check on numbers there, we're a bit concerned, if I may be candid. However, it's just the beginning of the school year. It is also our hope that summer is an option because there's a break in service. So we have to go back and find all these people. And then sadly, because we can only provide care at those 2 schools, a number of our families have called. And we're hoping that they've reached out to the other providers like the Y and Unleashing Potential. So thank you for your time. We provide before and after care at Lee Hamilton. We only provide after care for Halls Ferry and we pick those children up. Good evening.
You're welcome. And just as a little caveat to that, we have attempted to do some additional components with PR because as she stated, the cost is rather low. And so we definitely want to ensure that families are aware of the services. We have a website. Of course, it's our fergflora.org/B, the number 4A, which identifies all of the components that all three of our providers have available to families. We have yard signs. We've sent flyers home specifically to all of the children at both Lee Hamilton and Halls Ferry, as well as done some peach jar flyers and phone calls. So we are definitely getting the information out to families and such that they are aware of the services that are available. Our final provider, last but surely not least, is Unleashing Potential. And I'd like to ask these two lovely ladies to come to the microphone. Darlene Soul is the president and CEO of Unleashing Potential, as well as Gloria Hampton, who is our director of after-school programming for Unleashing Potential.
Good evening, Dr. Davis. Good evening to the board. Good to see everybody. Unleashing Potential, we are again grateful for the partnership. We're excited to have access to the two schools that we have, Berkeley and Griffith. We transitioned successfully from Bermuda Airport and Johnson Wabash. Those were the three schools we were in last year. And these are the schools that we have been in. Actually, we got a delayed start, so I do understand that that was a challenge for many of the parents because they really did need the care at the start of the school year. We are up and running at both of the locations, so I'm excited to report that. We were delayed because of our state license. We are also licensed by the state of Missouri, and we want to make sure that we are in total compliance so that we can provide the kind of quality program and safe program for the kids. So that was what the delay was all about, was our state license. So we are in compliance. We're good to go. I was at Berkeley and Griffith both this afternoon. There were 65 students at Berkeley. We actually have about 80 students enrolled there. The capacity is 120. I was also at Griffith. Today was actually our first day at Griffith. We're excited about that startup as well. We have approximately 32 students enrolled. This afternoon, there were 17 that were in attendance. And so the schools actually do a fantastic job of having other after-school clubs running concurrently. And so they were able to kind of fill a gap for us while we were not in operation. Our president and CEO, Darlene Soul, is also here. And would you like to have a few words?
I get the fun part. Thank you, board, for having us this evening. Thank you, Dr. Davis. I am here basically for an announcement. We have had a partnership with the Ferguson-Florissant School District. This is year 4 for us. And we are truly appreciative of the opportunity to serve your children. With that said, I come to celebrate one of your own. We have a gala each year. It's called Art and Soul on November 1st at the Four Seasons. We have a Jerry Paul Youth Advocacy Award, and it is for an individual who started the Deaconess Foundation. He was a very prominent advocate for children in the St. Louis region. And he was very instrumental in the work that we do. And this year, our Jerry Paul Youth Advocacy Award is for Dr. Jocelyn Pugh Walker. So, Dr. Davis, I have saved the date cards for you. We will be making sure that the board receives an invitation as well. I am also proud to say that our development manager is on your equity committee. She is a parent in the Ferguson-Florissant School District, and that's Terry Williams. So, that being said, we are excited again to partner with Ferguson-Florissant. We are awaiting word on some federal dollars, 21st century. So send up prayers that is received. That will enable us to partner with the district in 2 additional schools. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Well, I push up questions and they've all walked away. That's quite all right. Do you have any questions?
Dr. Pugh, I guess my quick question is that do we have aftercare in all of our elementary schools? It was kind of hard to see.
Yes, so we have services and supports in all spaces except Combs and Robinwood. And as they just spoke about, they have applied for a 21st century grant for those two sites. And so the hope is that we will find out in the next few weeks whether or not grant services have, or that they have been awarded that particular grant. And if so, then they would open up space in those two locations.
Is it? I'm really was looking at the numbers for the Boys and Girls Club because it's kind of just around the corner. It's no way that they can service that school until that grant opportunity is available, or how?
So as it relates to federal grants, when you're writing the grant, you're not just writing it for a set amount, you're writing it for a specific location. And so those two sites were indicated in the grant. I don't want to say that, no, we couldn't do that. I'm wondering whether or not the answer to that is no, yes, we could do that. Yes, we could do that. There could possibly be some issue as it relates to the fact that we did apply for a federal grant specifically for a particular partner and specific students at particular schools. So that's something that I can verify. Probably the most important. So the grant is supposed to be awarded mid-September. We're expecting mid to end of September that we would know who the awardees are for that particular grant, which is why we did not go forward with that. Yes.
So how are the schools selected for each vendor?
So again, per a survey that we did last year, determining where folks were, how many at the time before restructuring we had in each location, we determined that we would provide pre-K2 services through the YMCA so that there would be some continuity of service there. And then Unleashing Potential is at both Griffith and Berkeley. And the other two, Lee Hamilton actually houses the Boys and Girls Club location, and then they bus over the students from Halls Ferry. Yes. Hope I answered the question.
So regarding the Boys and Girls Club, once the main building's finished on West Florissant, will it still maintain in our school building, or will our students be going to their main campus?
So that campus, and correct me if I'm wrong, is for middle school students. Is that correct? Yes, please, come on up. I would hope.
The teen center that's scheduled to open on West Florissant will be receiving youth ages 13 to 18. No, 12, forgive me. That's 7th grade and up, because we're no longer providing care at Ferguson Middle School. So the kids that aged out of our Lee Hamilton program would have moved naturally there. So we will have a grand opening, inviting families, anyone in our database, on October 3rd to tour the facility. It's 26,000 square feet, state of the arts. It will possess or will provide services that include career development, workforce development. We're partnering now. Actually, we've merged with St. Louis Internship Program. They're known in the city. They serve over 100, kids, getting them lined up with paid internships. We have partnerships with Boeing, and they are on board along with the St. Louis Cardinals to increase youth's capacities in the workforce. And if they're eligible, more than likely they will receive employment. So we have a music studio, big visual performing arts component there. Obviously, they will receive academic support through tutors and et cetera. So middle school and up will be served at that location. To answer your question, we are now working with Bi-State or Metro to provide bus passes for them as well. So that population could very well be served at that West Florissant location. We used to serve kids at a number of the partnering schools, Walnut Grove, Griffith, in Johnson Wabash, and that's why we were able to serve as many members. But now it's kind of a gap right now with that middle school. So we're working feverishly with schools. The principal at Ferguson Middle, a number of your high schoolers and middle schoolers, about 25 of them will participate in our grand opening on October the 3rd. So we're trying to keep them engaged. They're participating in our Youth of the Year program, and those who do well, the winner gets a brand new car, and we've done that now 2 years in a row. I think we've invited the superintendent and others from the school district to our gala. So we got a lot going on. We just need some kids to know about us. We need kids to reach out to us. So we've been doing a lot of grassroots efforts to get the word out, but we're opening November 4th. We will be receiving kids at the new center. Anything else about the teen center? Good question. Thank you.
Dr. Walker, if I could sort of address some of what I think Dr. Graves is speaking to, and Mr. Chabot as well. So one of the things when we were preparing for the school year, we were looking at, because we had a number of providers interested in working with us, we used data and did surveys of parents to see what the need was. And, you know, I've gotten some concerns from parents around, you know, especially, you know, Robin Wood and Combs and, you know, not having services there. And also, I always want to say that, you know, we provide the space for the service. We don't do the service itself, but our partners do that work. But we also have to use our data because there are a lot of component parts that impact decisions that we make. And that, you know, it's not always popular. I get that. What we do want to do is serve as many families as we can as they need it. So just wanted to add that.
Any other questions? Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you.
And I just recognized Jenny. We had, I just told Leslie, I realized who we had dinner with her and her husband not too long ago. And Leslie, good to see you.
Okay, at this time, you will speak to us on federal program presentations.
I surely will. So I want to say thank you for allowing me to present this brief overview of the Federal Programs Office and our 2019-20 budgets. My office, the office of myself and Latanya Robinson, are responsible for sound financial planning and management of public and non-public funds. And we interface with departments to assist with the preparation of Title I, II, III, Title IV, Perkins, and this year's CTE base and performance grants. We work on the improvement plans and budgets, hiring requisitions for allowable expenditures, and exercising proper financial controls. The office ensures compliance with federal statutes and regulations, state laws, DESE rules and regulations, FFSD policies and procedures, and relevant contractual obligations. And so you might be asking, so how do we receive these funds? Of course you want to know. So these funds, of course, stem from the federal government. And so each year Congress approves a budget, and then the U.S. Department of Education funnels those funds to the states. And our state rep, of course, would be the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. They take a look at that large pot of funds. They look at the census poverty data for each area, and then they disperse those dollar amounts as a whole to school districts. In order for us to be able to utilize the funds, each year we must complete by June 30th a ESEA compliance consolidated application. Those applications include each of our buildings that are Title I buildings completing a plan. First, a needs assessment. What are the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities of our data in these spaces? And then what are the strategies that we need to set aside in order to reach the full potential of our students? And so free and reduced lunch count, of course, is what allows us to garner dollars for our federal grants and services. On the next page, you'll see the types of grants that we manage. So Title I is about improving the academic achievement of disadvantaged students. And so that's the biggest or the largest amount of federal funds that we receive. It's the biggest federal assistance program for education, and its purpose is to ensure that all children have a free and fair opportunity to obtain a high quality education. Title II's purpose is for teachers and principal training and recruiting. And so the whole purpose of that is for us to improve leadership skills for our administrators, and then also improve content area and expertise for our teachers, thereby, of course, improving the results for students. The third grant program that I have listed here is Title III EL, which is for our English language learners. And we receive a small amount of funds each year in order to supplement the supports that we provide to our English language learners. I did not list Title IV on here, but Title IV is another grant that's available to us as a school district that allows us to filter some funds into technology and well-rounded education. For the last 2 years, we've gotten those funds, a very small amount the very first year, a little bit larger this year. And then after reviewing our data, we determined that we would transfer those funds into Title I, thereby providing us additional supports in our Title I dollars. So now you want to know how much we received. And on this slide, it clearly identifies our Title I and Title II. Actually, I'll tell you about coloring. How's it do? Yes, so in orange is for this year. And you can see plainly that over the last year, our Title I and Title II allocations have increased. And they've increased for a couple of different reasons. Number one, the amount that Congress, remember we talked about the federal level, provided initially. And then also you receive title funds based on the number of free and reduced lunch students. Our economic deprivation level has increased steadily over the last 6 years. And so because of that, we've received more funds. Okay. So we got that $3,368,022 in Title I. So I know you now want to know, what are we going to do with it? And so we have what is considered a breakdown of allocations. And so 1% of our budget is mandated to go into parent involvement. And so these funds, of course, provide opportunities for us to partner with our parents, providing them supports and services so that they can then support their children. 3% of our allocation is for our homeless families. And so what we've done as a district is provided for our homeless liaison. That her salary is paid out of this particular 3%, and also additional professional development for her to do the work that she needs to do to support our children. It also provides for some supplemental book bags and supplies for our children as well. The next area is 4% for non-public. We're on bypass. So that means that, remember that the funds come from the federal government. They then come to the state. The state then looks at the funds and determines what is the economic deprivation for that area. Not just for the children that attend our schools, but for the children in this area as a whole. Ferguson-Florissant School District. There are some students that live in the Ferguson-Florissant School District that are going to non-public schools. And so they help us also to determine our Title I allocation. And so because they, of course, help us determine those Title I allocations, I am also required to work with the administrators at their non-public schools to create plans and also budgets to support those children. The funds do not go to the school. The funds are managed here in our district by myself. I work with those principals to ensure that students that would normally be here in our district, but have chosen for whatever reason to attend a non-public school, that they still receive the services. I love this part. My dissertation is about equitable services for non-public students, because I truly believe that it's so important that we ensure that every child receives what is required of them. The other part of that is, of course, I'm hopeful that they'll come back. And when they do come back, that I know that they've gotten the services and supports that they needed when they return to us. So 4% of our funds are on non-public bypass. So those automatically are put aside to support those students. 5% of our portion is administration. So that covers myself, LaTanya Robinson, who is our financial coordinator in our office, who does a rocking job. I always say she's the boss in that office and she keeps everything running smoothly. This also helps us to support any types of consultants that we need in order to support us in the work that we do. We have, as you saw, several grants and several dollars that we need to manage. And that is done in conjunction with myself and LaTanya, and thankful to our finance office here that supports us as well. The biggest chunk of those funds, 87% of that $3,368,022 goes to our sites. So how do they get those dollars? It's based on the number of students that they have in their building times a per pupil allocation. So a larger school will get more money. And so we have all of our schools this year are Title I schools. There are two different ways that funds can be provided, either through targeted services or Title I school-wide. School-wide means that every child in the building can receive services and supports. Targeted means that we only targeted the most at risk. We have determined that all of our schools will be school-wide schools, and therefore we can support all of them. I'm so excited about that. I forgot about that nice little turn there. The next slide talks about the staffing that we have hired based on our Title I dollars. And so a lot of our staffing for Title I has gone to instructional support leaders. You heard several times this evening, I heard people talking about the actions that they are doing in our district. They provide professional development for our teachers. They are right now blitzing and assisting our students as it relates to dyslexia screening. And they work with our content area coordinators to support our district overall. We have 3 supplemental teachers currently within our districts that can provide small group instruction. And then we have just recently, this week, hired a behavioral specialist, social worker at McClure North High School that will be doing some phenomenal work to support the children there, the students there, around systems thinking, around social work, emotional pieces, and yoga. So I can't wait to get over there and experience some of that. Under Title IIA, we have 2 class size reduction teachers. And so remember that Title IIA is around how do we support teachers, but we're also able to use these funds to make our class sizes smaller as long as the district has done the state mandated component of having a set amount of students in the class, then we can make it smaller. So we've hired 2 class size reduction teachers with Title IIA funds. And then for Title III, which is for our English language learners, we have an opening and a posting for an aide to support our ELL students. Some of the initiatives that we have set aside for our Title I funding, again, we listed the instructional support leaders. Our homeless liaison is funded from there, the behavior specialists, staff development is funded through Title IIA. Title I Parents Make the Difference newsletters. We send those out, but we also send them through Peach Jar each month. Supplemental technology, working with our technology department. We have Chromebooks in pretty much all of our spaces. And then supplemental literacy and numeracy materials have been listed inside of our plans. Earlier, we talked about our non-public dollars, that 4% of our funds are spent related to our non-public students. And these are the campuses that are within the Ferguson-Florissant School District. These are non-public schools that reside within Ferguson-Florissant. Those teachers also have access to Title IIA funds. And so I work with them and their administrators and manage their plans. They're what we call it public-private design. So how do we design? We look at their data and design a plan to support their teachers and supporting those students. And so I'm sure you've seen some of these schools right around our parts. And they are targeted, which means the funds that their schools receive or that their students receive are only good for those particular students in that space. We cannot use the monies to upgrade the entire non-public school. One of the other grants that we have available that's a subset of Title I is the McKinney-Vento Homeless Subgrant. And from that grant, we received $141,091. It's a competitive grant. From that grant, we have a social worker. They provide tutorial services. There's a summer program. supplemental transportation, where the district is required to fund the transportation between school districts. And so this grant pays a portion of that. The district covers the rest in partnership with other school districts. And then we also provide activity fees and school uniforms. Carl Perkins grant, which is a supplemental secondary grant. We had $241,899 this particular year, and it has afforded us a host of supports for our CTE teachers and students as it relates to textbooks, professional development, and technology. And then our final grant that last year was the very first time that we received this one, the CTE Base and Performance Grant. It's $58,566 this year, not a whole lot, but it does allow us to fund one of our CTE teachers. So we're super excited about that. And that last slide just clearly identifies all of the grants that we manage within our office and our total of $4,529,125 of grants and services. Are there any questions?
I wanted to ask about the grant that provides the social worker. How long is that grant for?
The grant that provides the social worker. So we're talking McKinney-Vento.
The slide that has that, the 141,000, yeah.
Yes, so that grant it's usually a 3-year rotation on that. And so I believe we have had that grant for the last, I would say, 8 or 9 years. And the state really loves Ferguson Florissant as it relates to McKinney-Vento. So it will be up for us to reapply next year. But I'm not at all concerned that we will get it again.
So this person is currently at, you said McClure North?
No, that's Title I. That's from Title I. The behavioral specialist, that person is funded from McClure North's Title I funds.
Okay, so where is this person?
This person is a district level social worker that provides support specifically for our McKinney-Vento students. So they travel to all places where we have McKinney-Vento students. And as you know, that number has increased over the years. Yes, but we do have a dedicated person specific for that particular program.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll share it with you. Mhm. Got it.
Since I got the mic though, real quick question.
Yes.
The behavior specialist position at North actually requested that, like, so for those particular dollars, a school have to request it to use it for that purpose.
Correct. So remember that as it relates to their Title I funds, each Title I school receives a set amount based on the number of students that they have and the times the per pupil allocation. And so in creating their needs assessment, identifying what their needs are for that building, they can then create strategies to address those needs. And so that's what they chose. That was one of the things that was chosen. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, that takes us to agenda item number 10, which everybody wants to hear. Meeting is adjourned. Oh, it was. I'm sorry. Can I have a motion for recommendation? I was getting fast here. Are you?
Yes, I'll move.
Second.
Ready to go.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you, ladies. All right, this time, can I do it?
Yeah.
Meeting adjourned.
Bring the hammer down.